Hi, everyone. My name is Pandit Dasa. I'm a mindful leadership expert, author, motivational speaker, and a former monk of 15 years. Whenever I tell people that I lived as a monk, the first thing is they want to know, why did I become a monk and how did I become a monk? And now I'm not a monk. I haven't been a monk for about 6 years. So now everybody wants to know why I'm not a monk anymore. So I thought I could very, very briefly tell you my story. So my parents, they came to the United States in 1980. They came over with little to no money. So one of the first things they did was they set up a small shop selling gift items near the ocean, near the beach on Venice Beach, California. I was only 7 years old. They were working 7 days a week because they didn't have much money. So every day they worked. That was the only way to put food on the table. Within a matter of about 7 years to 8 years, they established a multi-million-dollar jewelry business. Now, hard work isn't the only way they did that. Of course, a lot of luck was also involved. And so they established a multi-million-dollar jewelry business. We began living the American dream much faster than we expected to. We had a 6-bedroom house with a pool, a jacuzzi, a waterfall on the hills of Los Angeles, California. So everything was really good for a while. Then, as life does to us once in a while, after 6 or 7 years of that, in the early 1990s, my parents' jewelry factory burnt down completely and we went completely bankrupt. We lost everything, right? Life has its ups and downs. And so at that point, my dad decides to explore new business opportunities in 1992, and he flies off to post-communist Bulgaria. So we pack up our life, pack up our bags, leave Los Angeles behind for good. We would never go back to live there. And we moved to Bulgaria in 1992. To give you an idea what post-communist Bulgaria was like, at that time, nobody spoke English in the country, like literally no one. I mean, you could find one person here and there that could speak it, but really nobody spoke English. Everything was on TV was either in the local Bulgarian language or Russian. All the movie theaters had movies, American movies that were really, really old. I'd seen all of them. There was, no basketball courts, no tennis courts, no volleyball courts. Everything that I used to do for fun and recreation, I could no longer do. My life literally had turned upside down. Like maybe a lot of us are feeling that now with the pandemic, that our life has turned upside down and inside out and all around. I kind of felt that way in 1992 when I was living in Bulgaria. And also keep this in mind, at that time, there was no internet. Now imagine going through the pandemic without the internet. I'm sure that's not a fun thought. That's not an exciting thing. None of us want to even imagine what it would be like to go through the pandemic without an internet. But that's what life was like for me. But as difficult as a time that was for me, because my life had turned upside down, it was so difficult. I was asking myself, why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? But it was in the middle of all that questioning that I actually started my own mindfulness and meditation practice. Because all of my external distractions had stopped, the only place I could go to find some solace and hope was to go inward. So that's what I decided to. I went inward to further explore myself. How am I going to remain calm and sane during that very difficult and turbulent and unpredictable situation, kind of like what we're all in now. It's very unpredictable what's happening around now. So after those, we spent 2.5 years in Bulgaria, left because it was a little unsafe, came back to the US, to the East Coast, where my parents set up a small store in New York City. I helped them with that a little bit. I worked in banking for a couple of years. And then I said, I need to take a break from life. I need to take time out to figure out what I really want to do in life, what I want to contribute to the world. So I decided to go to Mumbai, India, to live in a monastery. I thought I would be there for maybe 1 month maximum. Here I am flying off in 1999 to Mumbai, India to live in a monastery. And I'm living there with about 40 other monks. These are like regular full-time monks. I'm just a visitor. Everybody sleeps in a communal setting. So it's like one big room and like 10 people sleeping there. Everybody sleeps on the hardwood floor. Everybody shares bathrooms. It's completely communal. No privacy whatsoever. And the rest of the day was spent serving one another, serving the community. We would meditate from 5 in the morning to about 7 or 8 o'clock. So it was a life of simplicity, humility, and service. And I fell in love with it. I ended up spending 6 months in India, came back and moved into a monastery in New York City. Spent a total of 15 years of my life living as a monk. It wasn't my life plan. It wasn't what I expected. I could have never imagined it, but that's what happened. And then 6 years ago, I left the monastic life, and I've been speaking in corporations and HR conferences and all other kinds of conferences around the United States, India, and also internationally in other locations as well. So, when I look back at all of these, ups and downs that I've had in my life, they were naturally painful and difficult. However, Steve Jobs said something that's very inspiring. He said, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots when you look back. So when you look back, and it's important that we do look back, not to look back and be haunted by some of the painful things that happen, but look back and take account of everything I learned from each of those challenging situations. What did I learn from losing everything in LA and going to Bulgaria? What did I learn from, coming back to the US? Each situation has helped me learn so much. And I think one of the biggest lessons that I've learned about life from all of this is that everything in life is temporary and that we are not in as much control as we like to think we are. And the pandemic is helping us realize that in a very, very big way, that we are not in control. We like to think we're in control, and we even make ourselves believe that we're in control. And to some degree, we have some control. But for a big portion of it, things are just happening in life that we can't imagine. Who could have imagined that a majority of the workforce around the world would be working from home? Some of us maybe used to dream about the idea, it would be so nice to work from home. I can wake up when I want, and I can stay in my sweatpants all day long. I can just wear shorts all day long and just work. So relaxing, so nice. Well, life gave us what we were asked for. Life usually gives us, in some ways or other, what we asked for, but not in exactly the way that we hoped we would get it. Like, we didn't want to work from home with our whole family at home, demanding our attention, demanding our time. We thought we could work from home, just us at home, doing our thing and seeing our family in the evening. So obviously, we are not in control. And I think this is one of the biggest lessons we can learn from life. No matter how powerful we are, how much money we have, how much fame and influence we have, we are still not in as much control as we like to think we are. So I think that's one valuable lesson that we can learn from the whole pandemic and everything that's happening right now. And, one of the key things that I learned when I was in the monastery, which I like to share with individuals, which I think really helps them understand, is that our mind, right? Our mind is the main cause of our stress, anxiety, depression, sadness, all of these things. Because, we can't really control what's happening outside of our window. We can't control the pandemic. What we can control is how we deal with it. We can't control the traffic outside, but we can control the traffic inside of our mind. So I like to think of our mind something similar to a smart device, right? We all have one of these, or maybe a few of these. And just like on our smart device, when you have too many apps open, it slows it down. It drains the battery. So now a question I'm going to ask you is, how many apps do you think are open in your mind right now? Take a moment to think about it. How many apps are open in your mind? Too many, probably. And what happens is when you have too many apps open up here, means that too many things that you're worried about, it drains your emotional energy, right? And then as a result of that, it drains your physical energy as well. So too many apps open. And the thing is, on our phones, we can just, double click and we can see all the apps that are open. But on our mind, there's no double click button that we know of. So we can't see all that's open because we have apps open from months ago and years ago. Right? Our mind continues to remember negative things from the past. And what it does is it constantly replays them over and over again, driving us crazy. So maybe something painful happened to us a year ago. How many times have we replayed that same incident again and again and again and caused ourselves so much more stress maybe have we done that 20, 30, 40 times that we've caused ourselves additional stress from something that happened a year ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago? Wouldn't it be great if we could just learn to press the pause button when a negative thought enters our mind or something from the past enters our mind? Wouldn't it be great if we could just press the pause button and stop that from causing us more stress? According to psychology today, an average person has between 1,000 and 2,000 thoughts every single hour. That's 25 to 50,000 thoughts per day. So the mind is a very busy place. Again, we do have the power and ability to close out the apps in our mind. We can do that. We just have to learn how. And that is what mindfulness training can do. Because if we're not in the past, we're planning the future constantly, which is good. Planning is good, preparing is good. But when we just worry about things we have no control over, all that's doing is adding anxiety to our mind and to our life. That's all that's really happening. So mindfulness is about getting in touch with our thoughts and emotions and bringing our mind into the present moment. It's the act of getting in touch with ourselves. The present moment is the only moment that we have control over. Pressing pause in our mind when we start worrying about things we can't control, pressing pause on our mind when we remember old things from the past that don't have any more relevance in our life. And so everybody's experiencing a lot of fatigue right now, a lot of anxiety because of the uncertainty of the illness, the COVID, the pandemic, about our job situation, our financial situation. There is so much anxiety. And I think right now, more than ever before, it's so important that we really take proper care of ourselves, which means, and sometimes we might feel guilty because we have to take care of ourselves and we're not maybe taking enough care of others. But you know what I really think my motto is? Self-care is not selfish. Self-care is not selfish. If just like when you used to get on an airplane, they would make an announcement that if the oxygen mask falls, put your own oxygen mask on first before helping others. Because if we are not conscious and breathing, we're not going to help anyone else breathe. So even now I'm not saying we neglect our family, but what I am saying, make sure we take what we need to be healthy and strong. What does that mean to take what we need to be healthy and strong? Well, for each person, it may mean something different. But a few things I think we really want to focus on. One is, let's really make sure that we're getting a good night's sleep. Because according to research from Johns Hopkins University, if we're lacking sleep for long periods of time, it can affect our mood, memory, health, and judgment. Mood, memory, health, and judgment. What can we do without mood, memory, health, and judgment? Nothing. You can't be available for your family. You certainly can't be available and present when dealing with your colleagues or your clients or whoever it may be, the outside world, right? So let's make sure we are prioritizing our sleep. That means don't send emails while you're sitting in bed. Leave your computer outside the bedroom if you can. Don't work while in bed. Get up, go to another room. Don't bring that energy into work, into your bedroom, right? Do something relaxing in the evenings. Make sure you disconnect from your work at a decent amount of time that gives you your mind enough time to wind down, gives you a chance to close out those work-related apps that are still open. Don't get up and the first thing to do is reach for this. There's no need to reach for this at first thing in the morning. Can we just start off our day with a few breathing exercises? Feel grateful for what's happening in life, even though life is difficult, right? Don't turn on the news the first thing in the morning. You don't need to see statistics of how many people have died. That's not the first thing you want to feed your mind, right? We can start our mind off with something positive, with something energetic, enlivening. Think of 3 things you're grateful for when you first wake up. Take 5 deep breaths, do some exercise, take a shower, eat breakfast, and then go to the news and then go to your work emails. We have time to take care of that. It's not they say that breakfast is the most important meal of the day for the body. What about our mind? It also needs breakfast. Is bad news the best thing you want to put in here? Do you want to just read like 5, 10 emails while you're still waking up and get that in your head? Because that's already stressing you out. That means your body's already starting to release cortisol, the stress hormone. So really let's think about, are we getting a good night's sleep to disconnect from our devices, get 6 to 8 hours of sleep, do what we need to make sure we get that. Let's make sure we're eating a healthy diet, because we could have our home filled with all kinds of stuff that may not be healthy, and we're home all the time, we're just snacking all the time. Important thing, let's see if we can eat as much fresh food as possible. And when I'm talking about fresh food, I'm really talking about plant-based foods, right? Vegetarian diet, as many fresh fruits and vegetables as possible, nuts, legumes, beans. A healthy vegetarian diet is great for your immune system, and it's great for your energy levels. Now, I'm not saying you become a vegetarian overnight. That's not what I'm talking about, but it shows that a plant-based diet can reduce heart disease, can reduce your chance of getting stroke, all kinds of ailments. And during this time of pandemic, we need to build our immune system. One way we can build our immune system is by eating fresh, healthy, plant-based foods in healthy proportions. We don't want to eat a heavy meal at night, because that'll prevent us from going to sleep, because our body will be busy digesting all night. We don't want to drink caffeine late in the day. The latest you want to have caffeine is around 2 p.m. because caffeine stays in your blood 6 to 8 hours after consumption. So that could interfere with your night's sleep. So sleeping, eating, having positive relationships. Reach out to one of your colleagues that you haven't connected with in a while and have a non-work related conversation. Or reach out to one of your team members and have a non-work related conversation. Ask them how they're doing. Is everything okay with them? This is a great chance for us to develop more empathy towards our family, distant family members, our colleagues, whoever it may be. Maybe your clients. Just see how they're doing. You're not trying to sell them anything. You're not reaching out to a colleague because you want something from them. You just want to have a human interaction and a human conversation with them. So this is a beautiful time for us to learn to develop more empathy, connect with others that we haven't connected with in a while, and show them that we're care, that we do care. And if you're in a leadership role, it's absolutely crucial that you do this. Reach out to your direct reports and your colleagues and coworkers and see how they're doing. Are they healthy? Are they happy? Is there anything you can do to help them? Maybe you can lighten their workload. Maybe one of them is sick. Somebody in their family is sick. Maybe someone's in the hospital. Maybe one of their family members has lost a job and now they're financially in a difficult situation. See what you can do to help. This will show them that you care about them and not just about their productivity. And that's going to create loyalty and retention within your own organization. And I think a very powerful tool we can use for all of this, everything that I've talked about, to close the apps and everything, to develop empathy, is mindfulness. Mindfulness is not a spiritual and religious thing. Okay, a lot of people have used mindfulness for spiritual and religious purposes, and I have too. But mindfulness can really be done in a secular way to de-stress ourselves. There's an article in Forbes magazine that said mindfulness can make you more productive. How? Because it helps you close out the apps. New York Times had an article that says it can enhance creativity and memory. Psychology Today says it can lower anxiety, depression, and stress, and we're all experiencing a little bit more depression right now and anxiety. And the Harvard Business Review says it can actually boost emotional intelligence. That gives us the ability to understand other people's perspective. Mindfulness is as simple as taking a few deep breaths, taking 5 or 10 really deep breaths, filling up your lungs completely and exhaling completely. Take 10 breaths like this when you wake up. Do that before a meeting, after a meeting, before you go to sleep. Take a moment throughout the day to feel grateful for what's happening in life for you, even though things may be difficult outside, but there's always some good things happening in life. So let's take a moment to feel grateful for those. So these are some basic things that you can do. And I have an additional resource here that may be helpful. So just a few days ago, I released my second book called Closing the Apps: How to Be Mindful at Home and at Work. So you can see the picture here. These are the things we're thinking about, right? Home, work, life, family, recreation. So these are the apps that are always open in our mind. And if we can close out some of these, we'll be more peaceful more of the day. And when we're more peaceful, naturally we'll be happier. So in this book, I talk about all the things that I just mentioned. I also talk about the importance of communicating mindfully, how to communicate mindfully with your colleagues, with your family members, how to listen without trying to form a response while we're listening, how to regularly appreciate the contributions of our coworkers and our teams. Appreciation is a key way of developing loyalty and retention within your units. And even if you're dealing with clients, it's showing appreciation to them for what they've done is very, very powerful. And I also provide a whole bunch of techniques on how we can be mindful at work, before a meeting, after a meeting, how we can even be mindful during our lunch breaks or while we're going for a walk, how to actually do and sit and do some of these breathing exercises. So a lot of practical tools and tips. And at the end of each chapter, I also have a place where you can do some writing exercises and reflection exercises so that it can be more meaningful and you can remember to implement more of these practices in your life. So, I really wish you, all success in your journey, especially during this difficult time. I hope everyone remains safe and healthy and positive, and that we can encourage and inspire positivity in others from the positivity that we exude. And if anybody of you would like to get in touch with me, ask any questions, learn more about the things that I do, the simplest way is you can, of course, connect with me on LinkedIn, Pandit Dasa, and my website is panditdasa.com, PANDITDASA.com. So I want to thank you all very much for taking the time to listen and to be present, and I look forward to our paths crossing again. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.